So I've been gone for a long time. I'm back now, so let's get started making some more videos. I'm going to start out with this video today talking about footwear for day hiking. Um, what kind of choices are out there and my suggestions and everything on this cold December 1st day. Um, so there's different types of footwear that you'll see out there, and people recommending different things. And for day hiking, I don't think it's as important the proper foot gear as like backpacking or something where you're putting in some bigger miles. I think anything under um, 2 miles, a little day hike, if you have just whatever comfortable, good fitting shoes that you have at home, um, it would work fine for that for the most part, especially if the weather's dry and everything. So I really don't think that you need to go out and spend some money just to get started in day hiking, even though a lot of the videos you see will say that you need, this $200 pair of shoes to go out and enjoy life, and it's just not true. Um, so one of the things you'll see talked about a lot is something like these trail runners. These are Lone Peaks. Um, I've used them backpacking. They're really nice. The other thing, I made a mistake of wearing them today, but hiking boots. Um, you'll see. And one thing to keep in mind with footwear or any other gear when it comes to being outside is don't get caught up in the marketing and advertising and stuff. Um, what I mean is back in the 70s, you couldn't go out in the woods unless you had hiking boots. That was the thing. You had to have hiking boots if you're going to go outside. And nowadays it's the same thing with trail runners. And I've actually seen videos of backpackers and hikers making fun of people wearing hiking boots nowadays. I mean, it's all the marketing and advertising hype and everything, and that's the bottom line is why in the 70s was it you had to have hiking boots, because the marketing was directed at that. Now it's directed at trail runners. The reality is, like I said, especially 2 miles or less, just some comfortable, good fitting shoes is about all you need in reality. One of the things that people talk about nowadays is don't get waterproof shoes. Back in the day, you had to have waterproof shoes to go out, and now waterproof is bad. Back in the day, Gore-Tex, you had to have Gore-Tex. Now Gore-Tex is bad. It's all just who's spending the most money on marketing and advertising. That's really what it comes down to. They say waterproof shoes are bad because if they do get wet, then they take too long to dry. And that's true. Like my hiking boots are waterproof, and they're it's a solid material. It's not leather that's been coated or anything. It's a solid kind of almost rubber material. Um, so the chance of them getting wet, unless I step into water deeper than the boot is tall, the chance of them getting wet is pretty slim. Downside to it is if I'm sweating, my feet are sweating, there's not a lot of chance for moisture to escape. But right now, I'll show you. It's snowing out here. And if I was to walk into that with a pair of tennis shoes or trail runners, I'm going to get wet. My feet are going to get wet, and they'll dry faster if I can get them out of the wet environment. But my feet are going to be wet the whole time I'm walking out there and that stuff. That's why I'm wearing my hiking boots today. So the waterproof takes longer to dry, all that kind of stuff. But just keep in mind, if the trail's going to have a lot of wet grass, if it's cold outside, the trail's going to have a lot of wet grass, or a little bit of snow, something like this, your feet are going to get wet and you're going to get cold. And they talk about socks, wool socks, alpaca socks. They'll provide some warmth, and that's the key. A lot of people say they will keep you warm even when wet, but the key is they will provide some warmth even when wet versus cotton socks. So if you're out in an environment and you're wearing some shoes like these, and your feet get wet, your socks get wet, they are going to provide some warmth more than cotton will, but your feet are going to get cold. So look at your environment and what that you're going to be hiking in. Is it a really nice clear trail, or are you going to be walking through a lot of wet grass in some areas and stuff, or has it been snowing? Make sure to keep those things in mind. If you're starting out and it's 70, 80 degrees every day and no chance of rain or anything like that, then whatever you have laying around the house will work fine. I bought these back in 2010, so they're 14 years old. They still work fine. And one of the things, if I started out right now with nothing, with no gear, the first thing I would do is invest in a good pair of socks. Wool or alpaca, nice, good fitting socks too. If you get some socks that are kind of big, then they'll kind of slide around and everything, and more chances of blisters and stuff. So good fitting wool or alpaca socks, and you're going to have to spend some money for that. You could go to like Rural King or Walmart and buy some wool socks, and they're not, maybe only just a percentage of the sock is wool, or it's a really low quality wool. For the most part, to get a good pair of socks, you're going to have to spend about 20 bucks or more. But if I was just starting out, instead of spending, I think these were over 200, instead of spending hundreds of dollars for a pair of shoes, I would invest in the good socks. Because even with an expensive pair of shoes, you're going to have to, without good socks, they're not going to do as good. One thing to keep in mind, one thing you'll hear if you start researching footwear is the term zero drop. So I don't know exactly what the millimeter is, but on almost every shoe that people wear nowadays, the heel from where your foot is actually at to the ground is higher here than it is here. That's a drop. It could be a couple millimeter drop, or if you had some stiletto high heels, it's maybe a 6-inch drop. But most shoes have a drop on them. It's one of the things where a lot of these trail runners have what's called a zero drop. So that means where your foot's at right here, from there to the ground versus the ball of your foot to the ground, it's the same. There is no drop. One thing that goes along with that zero drop is a lot of people, they'll go out on a trail, especially backpackers. They're going to go out putting in a lot of miles every day for weeks at a time, or even days at a time. They haven't allowed their body to adjust to the zero drop, and then they end up having problems with the ligaments and tendons in their foot and ankles and even calves to some extent, because their body's not used to it. We were not designed as human beings to walk with our heels higher than the balls of our feet. But shoe companies over the years have done that, and now our body, we've spent a lifetime walking with our heels up in the air. And then if you go to a zero drop shoe, then your body's not used to being flat like that, because you spent your whole life with your heel up in the air. So all your ligaments and tendons and everything else in your feet and ankles have adjusted to that over time. And then if you go out and put on a pair of zero drop shoes for the first time and go walk 10 miles, you're going to have problems. Your body's not used to it. In most cases, they say, I got to break in my shoes. You get a brand new pair of shoes, you got to break them in. With going to a zero drop shoe, you have to break your body in. You have to get used to it. So It's one thing to keep in mind with like the trail runners and other zero drop shoes. I absolutely believe the zero drop is better for you. I believe it's the way the body was designed to walk, but just keep in mind you need time for your body to adjust to that. And that's another thing people talk about with when it comes to the way the body is designed. I need, you hear all the time, well, I need ankle supports. I need like a hiking boot or some big boot for ankle supports because I have weak ankles. That's because my alarm went off. That's because you spend a whole lifetime walking around in just these boxes on your feet, just flopping around all over the place, and those ligaments, those tendons, and everything are weak. All those muscles in your foot and stuff and ankles are just weak and atrophied from a lifetime of no use. And then you get out there, in some rough terrain, uneven terrain, and everything, and then you need the ankle support because you don't have strong enough ankles. And that is why you spend a lifetime just walking around with these boxes on your feet, and your feet aren't moving and doing the things that they're supposed to do on the uneven terrain. So again, you got to let your body get used to that. Another thing with footwear is to keep in mind. I used to have a lot of problems with my knees. I just chalked it up to, well, I was in the military and I did a lot of other stuff throughout my lifetime. I put a lot of wear and tear on my body, and I'm just paying the price of it. That's just what it is. So I was constantly 24 hours a day in some level of discomfort or pain in my knees. And researching, because I'm not a big, hey, I got a problem and here's a drug for it. I'm not big into that. So in researching, what I could do for the pain, I started learning, that our body's not designed to walk the way we've been walking, and the way the muscles and everything atrophy walking around with these just boxes on our feet and everything. And I found I'm not recommending this company, Zero Gear. It's XERO. I've used them. I like them. So yeah, I guess I would recommend them. But what I started out with is in the research, I learned that we're walking with our heels in the air. That's not right. And then with all this padding on our feet, because walking at an uphill angle and stuff like that, and we do what's called a heel strike. Our heel hits the ground and then our foot rolls. That's the way the shoes that we've worn our entire lifeline have our body has adapted to walking in it in. When in reality, you're supposed to land more on the ball of your foot as you come down on the ball of your foot. You're not supposed to. Our body wasn't designed for the heel strikes. Why that's important and how that research helped me with my knee problems is I found that if you land more on the ball of your foot like you're supposed to, then the body uses your calf muscles and everything as shock absorbers. When you're doing that heel strike, it's kind of bypassing all that vibration, and shock is bypassing your calf muscles, and that vibration and shock is going directly into your ankles and into your knees, and then even into your hips and everything. So you start having all these problems with your knees and your hips and ankles and everything because your joints are taking all that shock that your calves were designed to take to absorb it. So so what I started doing is I bought these, and I wore these all year round. I've wore them in the wintertime. I've worn, just barefoot with these shoes on. I've worn all year round, and I very quickly noticed that, I guess not very quickly, but within a couple weeks, I noticed I didn't have as much knee problems as I did, and the more I wore them, the less knee problems I had. And then for the past several months, I don't know why, it was not a conscious thing, but I've gone to wearing like typical shoes, just because of the stuff I've been doing, and I've started the knee pains and everything has started coming back. So walking the way the human body was designed to walk, I've noticed it has alleviated a lot of the pains I was getting from before that I just chalked up to I've led a rough life and put my body through a lot. Um, these are 3 millimeter thick, and and then you can't really see it on the video, but the only wear I have on these after, man, 7 years is right here on the ball of the foot. Because you very quickly, when you something this thin, when you're walking, you very quickly, that heel strike, that hurts, and you start adapting back to the way that you were designed to walk. So this is something, doing something like this is something that you got to start out slow. Maybe if you're active for the day, you're going to be walking around a lot, maybe just like an hour or so a day until your body starts getting used to it. Because man, when you're walking and you're doing that heel strike on these, that sucks. And then I later I went to these. They're made by the same company, Zero Shoes, and just like these, how they're all flexible, and you can roll them up and all that kind of stuff. These are the same way. You can twist them around and move them in different ways. But these are 3 millimeters thick, and the sole on this is 5 millimeters thick. Again, it's a zero drop. One of the things I like about these is because your body, it allows you, like if you're stepping on a rock, your foot to kind of move around it and everything like you're supposed to, instead of just being in boxes and just flopping around. Your foot works the way it's supposed to, and you're using all those muscles, ligaments, tendons, all that kind of stuff. And it strengthens your feet, it strengthens your ankles, it strengthens your legs, because your body's working the way it's designed to work. So then you don't end up needing that high ankle support and all that kind of stuff. It takes time, it doesn't happen overnight, but you build your body back up to the way it's supposed to be. Another reason I like stuff like this is a big part of my video is, a big part of my channel is talking about the mental health, about being outside, how the benefits of being outside for your mental health, and actually being in the moment and enjoying the moment. And when you're wearing something like these or these, and you can feel the stuff underneath your feet, and you're having to move around it and everything instead of just smashing it. It helps you to be more in the moment, totally immersed in being outside, and being able to feel those sticks and rocks and move around them and everything, the way nature flows. It doesn't just, well, I guess if Mother Nature's mad and she's causing a huge tidal wave or whatever, she crashes through it. But for the most part, nature flows, the air flows, the water flows, the sound flows, everything in nature just flows. And when you're wearing something like those shoes, you're kind of flowing around the obstacles instead of just crashing through it. So my suggestions is, one other thing I wanted to point out. They talk about a pound on your feet is like 5 pounds on your back. So if you're walking, the heavier your shoes are, the more wear and tear it's putting on your body, and the more tired you're going to be at the end of the day and all that kind of stuff. So that's something to keep in mind too. Shoe choices. One of the things I like about a shoe like this, these have they have gaiters. I forgot to bring my gaiters out here, but it's a piece of cloth that goes around your ankle with a little bit of elastic. On these shoes, it's designed to hook here, and this little Velcro patch, it hooks onto there. That keeps a lot of the rocks, dirt, and all that kind of stuff out. One company for gaiters is Dirty Girl Gaiters. There's other companies out there. I like them because they had a lot of color choices, and I found some blue ones that match my shoes, so that's why I went with them. I notice that a lot with my hiking boots. I get sticks and stuff down in there. These aren't really set up for gaiters. I wish they were. I can get some bigger, like knee-high gaiters that stay on there, but gaiters are nice, keeping the sticks and rocks and dirt and stuff out of your shoes. They work really well. So if you are spending your money on some shoes, looking at that might be something you look at. You know, is your shoe designed for gaiters and everything? Um, so I'm not going to sit here and say one brand or one type or one anything is the best and what you should get. I'm just tossing out some ideas for you to do your own research, further research, and see what works best for you, and most importantly, what works best in your budget. But for right now, just get you some good form-fitting shoes. Get some good fitting shoes, even if it's just something you have laying around the house. And that good fitting shoe is really important, because if your heel is moving every time you take a step, if it's moving inside the shoe, chances are you're going to get blisters, and then it's going to suck. And then same thing with the toe box. If your toes are pushed up against the shoes and kind of rubbing up against the shoe all the time, chances are you're going to get blisters. That's one thing with that these have in common. They have a wider toe box, and it allows your feet to actually spread out. That's another thing with the modern shoes. I mean, the shoes we've been wearing for the past 100 years. Your toes are all cramped up, and that also kind of keeps you a little bit more unstable when you're walking. Which then people say, "Well, I need ankle support because I roll my ankles when I walk." Well, you're unstable. You're not. Your feet and toes aren't spread out and working the way they're designed to work to help give you balance and control while you're walking. So hopefully this video didn't confuse you more than it helped you. I just tossing out some things out there really quickly to give you some stuff to think about while you're making your choices. Like I said, if you're just going out for a mile or two, just get out there. Don't wait till you can. So many people end up waiting. Well, I can't do it yet because I got to buy this and I got to buy that, and you're missing your time out in nature. Just like I've talked to so many people. I rode motorcycles. I still have motorcycles. I had every kind, and I talk to people. So many people that whenever they see me riding, they might, yeah, I want to get a Harley one of these days, and they have no chance of getting that Harley in the near future, in the next 5 years or whatever. So my thing is, why don't you just buy a Kawasaki or a Yamaha so you could at least get out there and start riding, you know? Oh no, I gotta have a Harley if I'm gonna do that. You're missing all that life, all that fun you could be having out there riding just because you want that certain brand. It's stupid. Same way with gear. You're going to be if you're researching gear on YouTube and the internet, you're going to quickly get overwhelmed with the prices, and so many people end up not doing anything outside because, well, I can't afford that. You don't need all the cool gear, all the expensive gear and toys and everything. That stuff makes it nicer in some ways. Maybe it's lighter, or maybe it's more comfortable, or maybe it's warmer, or maybe it's whatever, but just adapt to use what you got. If you don't have the gear to be out when it's 20 degrees outside, well, at least go when it's 30 degrees outside. At least get out there and start. You can improve your situation as time goes on, but don't just say, oh, I can't do that because I can't afford shoes. I mean, like this, I've got close to at least $600 worth of shoes here, but it goes back all the way to 2010, you know, and to this newest pair that I got last year. So you don't have to do it overnight. Just get out there and start enjoying life, and get out in nature and reap the rewards, the mental rewards and everything else of just being out and enjoying nature and taking some time to stop and smell the roses and just find some peace in your life. It's worth it. Just get out there and do what you can, and then as you learn and you start seeing what's working for you and it's not working for you, then you can start improving the stuff you're using. But it all starts with that first step, and you can't take the first step if you're too caught up in gotta have the certain gear or whatever. So just get out there, enjoy life.